that opened up a plethora of local banks, right? And so C is the right answer. Yes. All right, other questions on that page? Go ahead, Jason.
43.
43, you say to me. The halfway covenant. The halfway covenant refers to that thing in New England, and we mentioned this numerous times, I think, where people were losing their spirituality, and they said, look, you can be members of the church and vote if you're a child of somebody that was baptized, right? So that was called the halfway covenant, and it does represent a demise of piety in New England. So what is the correct response there? Where is it? A is the correct response. What did you put, Jason? B?
I put B, yeah.
Yeah, that's close. I mean, I can see that's, kind of on some level viable. But A is the best answer. I can see what you're saying, because once you're baptized, then you can vote. So yeah, I mean that's a legitimate error. Other questions? Yes, go ahead, Courtney. 47. Please stay with me. The United States response to the successful orbiting of Sputnik in 57. Some of you wrote about that, I imagine, in your papers. Was B. The idea is the Sputnik went up in 57, and the response was the Russians are ahead of us in math and science. Our kids are idiots because they didn't put that up. So we got to put more aid into education to keep up with the Russians, right? All right. Any more on that page? Let's flip it then to 51 to 60. Any on that page? Go ahead, Sonny. Please stay with me just a few more minutes. 51. Harvard and Yale were established as places to train ministers. Does it say that somewhere?
Yeah.
Yes. The reason that Harvard and Yale were established initially was to train ministers. Most of the universities and colleges in colonial America were established for that reason. On some level, C would be the closest to that, to ensure a supply of ministers. I know you would like it to be different, but that's why it happened. Others on that page. Dear Giles, 56 is the open door. We talked about the open door. Guaranteed military support for not guaranteed military support. Is C the right answer? Yeah. Why isn't it D? Because we didn't require the people to give up their spheres of influence. But, no, we just wanted them to keep them, but allow us to trade freely, which kind of is inconsistent, but that's what we wanted. And so the intent of the open door was not to rid China of spheres of influence. It was to get us in, right? And so bolster American commercial interest in China is a more accurate statement. Other questions on that page, Samantha? 59. The Stamp Act crisis was important in the coming of the American Revolution for all of the following reasons. The Stamp Act is a big tramp. Please give me your attention. I can't imagine that Polymechko could have anything more valuable than myself to say. I'm insulted. I'm insulted by it. Why would they think that? Of all people, I could see if it was, that I could see, but or Al Josma maybe, but Polymechko, good Lord, he was wearing women's clothing yesterday. In class. Good heavens. He didn't even look good in it. All right, so how about the Stamp Act? The Stamp Act is generates unity. Unity amongst the colonies. I think we'd say that. So they said colonists demonstrated their willingness to use violence rather than legal means to frustrate British policy. Well, I don't know. Maybe. The crisis coincided with the British decision to garrison. I don't think that's true. American patriots realized the British inflexibility made rebel. No. British maintained the colonies had no right to Indian. No, that's not right. Let's see. Patriot leaders claimed that the act denied them their British birthrights. Is E better than A?
It's C.
Oh, it's an accept. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So then, C would be the exception, right? I mean, they're not. They didn't think that they were going to have to revolt then at the Stamp Act. Yeah, so I'd say C. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's definitely certainly the exception. I don't remember it coinciding with the decision to garrison regular troops in American cities, though. I thought that came in 1770.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe, you know what I'm thinking? They may, here's why. Here's why that's true. Because they passed the Quartering Act at the same time, right? You know, remember? The Stamp Act and the Quartering Act at the same time? But we tend to associate it with the Boston Massacre, the troops going to Boston. I think they went to New York. That's why. Yes, go ahead.
I had a question regarding 58. Why did the United States intervene in Guatemala?
Because we were afraid the communists were going to take over. So we wanted to overthrow that government by the CIA. The big thing about that Guatemalan thing is the CIA was involved in that. That's why they always ask about it. I mean, that's why we intervened anyway. You know, because we were afraid the communists would take over. Go ahead, Sonny. Still mad about that Harvard thing, aren't you? Me too. 54. The growth of suburban... Now, let's go through this. Everybody look at me for a second. All right. I would argue that knowing nothing about this, you should be able to get this right. By logic. Right? Now, hear me out. Okay. This is 54. I would argue this. Just by logic. Know nothing. Right? You know nothing, but we're logical. So, okay. The growth of suburbia. Now, we know what suburbia is, because we live in it. Well, you live in it, right? It's these houses that are outside of cities, right? That's suburbia, right? These housing projects that are outside of cities, they grew up in the 1950s in the aftermath of World War II. You know, soldiers came home from World War II and wanted to live the American dream, and part of the American dream was to have a house away from the cities, which were increasingly considered to be places that might be dangerous and difficult to live in. So they built up these suburban communities like Monrovia, right? So we know that. We know we live in suburbia. We know that suburbia is a function of the post-war era, right? Post-World War II era. So now we say, what would make that vastly accelerate? Well, we know that the suburban growth really starts in the 1950s. So something that happened in 1921 that we have absolutely no idea what it is, the Shepard-Towner Act of 21 wouldn't be it. We know the Social Security Act kind of took care of old people. So why would that do it? I don't know. The Taft-Hartley Act we know involved organized labor. But the Federal Highway Act involves roads. And in order to get to the cities or to the suburbs, you need roads. And the Federal Highway Act happened in the 50s when suburbia was built. So then logically, we would say that the correct response to that is D. Right? Now we might even do it with time periods, knowing that suburbia was built up in the 50s, reading that in our textbook most recently for the test that we took, we'd say, 50s, cars, roads, Highway Act, okay. I'll take a flyer at D, right? And then I would have been right. Did anybody get that correct? Well, there you go. Look how smart did Kelly. You went through it just that way I did, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
You're smart, that's why. Okay, any other questions on that page? Hal Joslin. 57, you say? During the Second World War, the United States sought greater cooperation with Latin American nations primarily because we thought, we might be threatened by the Nazis and, we wanted to form a kind of collective security. So to promote industrialization, no. To encourage, no. To develop, D is the correct response. E? Because in World War II, we weren't worried about communism. We were friends with the communists in World War II, remember? The Russians, your people, right? They were our friends in World War II, just like you are our friend now. So we didn't, that's very much true. During World War II, because we were aligned with the Soviet Union, that rhetoric against communism